The reason I've written so many poems about the breakwater is that it's a place of refuge for me. I've often thought, especially when I worked at the university, that at the end of the breakwater was about the farthest place I could get to that was away from work and challenge and still be in the city of Victoria. And I walk there almost every day, and I have for several years. In fact, I'm one of those people who walks 10,000 steps a day, and I've now walked over 15,000 kilometers. So I wrote my first poem about the breakwaters over 10 years ago, and that's the poem I'm going to start with. Polygonics. Though you are afraid of heights, walk with me along the breakwater, its narrow double-jointed finger crooked straight across the flat plain of the sea. Mountains the sun cuts jagged against the distant shore, turning as we turn. Each wind-blown angle we negotiate, widening our perspective, pivoting us farther out than we expect, stepping tentative along concrete poured high above the endless verticals skin divers travel along below the ocean's surface. Vicarious tangents you or I might fathomless have followed partway down with other men, turning waterlogged back, amnesiac and gasping for air, intake lines tangled, guessing afterwards at wrecks we are sure must lie deeper still, literal and barnacled with what we let fall, inadvertent, turning, slipping unnoticed through the currents past waving skeins of kelp towards vanishing points few dwell beyond. The lonely plain of the sea, a polygon whose arbitrary shapes alter as we zigzag along, the straight unhinging, bisected by migrating birds and cessnas, tugs and kites, our faces briny with sun-shined breezes, the extinguished navigation beacon, a terminus where unblinking we stop at the vortex of deafening, unheard-of waves, not caring what vectors may later point us elsewhere while we take in the fresh sweep of the horizontals about us, ocean, sky, and shore, flat and thunderous, horizons dazzling as lightning shaken out in sheets, the breakwater, the long arm of a compass projecting a direction for every line across other lines, many lovers walking arm in arm with us or away, our arc ascendant, a half-moon carrying us forwards, unobserved, under open skies, geometries beyond the everyday plotted on the sea, you and I, both of us graphing possible trajectories of the limitless. This poem relates to the construction of the breakwater a little bit. A longitudinal history of solitude. 10,000 15-ton blocks of granite quarried, cut, and barged from Hardy Island through the inside passage as a helmet massed in 9 immovable, unquestioned 2,500-foot-long tiers over a rock debris dredged nearby and dropped to the sea floor. Babel's distraught tower pushed on its side, along which, above chop of tides, I reach its headstrong, century-old occulting, light, flaring transcendence, winked above the salt, silent self-control, pulling free of undertow to amend interrupted thought, most ones and zeros washed clean of terabytes by spray's upthrow. Under the rainbow. The breakwater reaches its placid branch through the haze, the mitred joints aiming me right slightly and slightly right again, wrenched granite blocks loosened by the wave's free-fall chaos, automated beacon flashing access, mute wind calm, sun refracting overhead, bands of light, intractable fan blades shaken open, each airy wash of washed-in color untold fathoms wide, a short-lived pergola to stand beneath, a memorial arch, its ribs corsaged with drizzle, my limbs relimbed as warmth slides downwards, icy mangle ironing sheets, petal thin, wrinkles steaming till they're gone. Last of the catchers. I've never caught sight of what they catch. Boys static as old men less awkward than boys, patient as herons, as lizards, wrists flicked quick as tongues, flies pierced and deployed, the lines cast far and teased, what cold voids the hooks slip through, flat and clear as quartz or rough, catchers swamped as waves rear, the lines cast far and teased, neither sculpin nor octopi striking on bait, stone blocks stood on descending stairs, numb to the logic they ballast below insistent tides, as the cormorants shriek, torpedo through reflected sky to spear vanished prey, shrugging off the undertow. Octopus with couchant seal. The head, shorn of thought, hangs in the shallows, unfathomed. A short-lived, inscrutable parachute. Silk the waves deflate. Scribble of weed trapped in the eye sockets. Sallow ghost whose rags nothing less alive can fill. Reach of its limber, intelligent arms lopped, ungrasping, Zen's expedient. Life not a fissure to slip through or den in, coral to jet to. Below where deep down a seal, gorging dives, the slack sundered suckers he tears apart, no more a threat, afloat, sated at the surface, the sweep of the still live nerves, a phantom order upholding him, suspense, hunger begets. Anthropocene. Off the coast, 3 earthquakes in 10 minutes, aftershocks of a bottomless unrest, the earth's unlocked, and I'd not felt it. This shook apartment, timber built, a quest for calm, more unstructured than I've come clean about. The silence, windows open too, not untroubled. Blinds the breeze makes careen my shuttered nerves. How tensions reaccrue, can't explain why the tides drop so far. The surf retreating below where sea level scores the shore. My disregard less subpar prior to. Fires burning inland, lethal, roused tsunami of atmospheric change, destined to thunder in, the clouds deranged. This poem begins with an epigraph from Caroline Forchet. Fire of human becoming. Biome tapestry. Smoke from California's burnt trees muffles houses street upon street, and cinders our lungs. A blanket of soot pulled to the chin until we wake. Scraps of sunrise our blinds have ribboned, making the broadloom appear scorched. Ochre needles of light we step across to the washroom, minds in pieces. The world obscuring Vancouver Island in pieces. Our neighborhood dug up for bike lanes, closed to house after live stream house outrun by flames. Pine needles self-immolating before they can blanket the forest floor. Coal, bone dust, a spark making itself felt from the first lightning strike outwards. Scraps of newsprint, headlines thundering through heat. scraps of char wafting down residential cul-de-sacs, peace and dahlias dropping petals, gardeners making compost, closing windows in house by tear-down house, new builds all palazzos, blankets of invasive English ivy everywhere. What needles us even more cultivated, blackberries, gorse, and needles of conscience knitting together scraps of fake news and history, the nevers of rhetoric, a blanket shaken out to beat back what threatens to blaze through pieces of our childhood, unrecalled memories of any townhouse or apartment suite we were raised in, small wonder making elements of our spirit appear killer, making style a witness, floral and embroidered, needles picking up threads earlier dropped, inner city houses, the flu emptied a century later, cleared by COVID-19, scraps of social distance even the whales can't maintain, forgotten pieces of the eras partway assembled, schools of half-thought, a mystery to blanket science with, the snow-nourished global ice cap, a blanket the cordillera and poles are sloughing off, making rivers a trickle, cities downstream lately ghosts, in pieces the tinder-dry forests and oceans rising without orcas, needles the pens of left and right, of the disappearing press, every little scrap of oratory, a rationale, an ordinary magniloquence, while inside distant house foundations, the occupants are blanketed in ash, silk floss in our needles snapping before migrants making for landfall on Lampedusa capsize in scraps, barely seaworthy as boats, Rashid and Nika's lives in pieces, likewise unhoused.